Good morning. We're going to have the board meeting first about the minutes. It's a short agenda. Yeah, the agenda you guys have it and whatever you say. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. 10:05. And the first item on the agenda is public comments. Also very strange.
Surreal. We're outside the box today. I can do roll call. Jerry Abraham.
Here.
Cindy Butts. Commissioner Dahl. Wendy Clark. Phil DeFonte.
Here.
Eddie Weinberg. Here. Claudio Gualtieri. Timothy Hodges.
Here.
Thank you. Catherine McKinnon.
There.
Commissioner Bruno.
Here.
Commissioner Perez. Franklin Perry.
Here.
Chelsea Ross. Sarah Sanders. Here. Lisa Tucker Bates. Greg Ball.
Here.
We do have a bill on the attendance review.
Thank you. Don, we can do the public comments.
Of course. This is the only opportunity on the agenda for the public to provide comments. If you would like to provide a comment, please unmute yourself and state your name, or if you're in the room, let us know. To ensure that everyone has the opportunity, comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Hearing no comments, the public comment period is now complete.
Thank you. Next,
Yes.
good morning.
Good morning. It feels a little surreal to be here, but great as well. I was thinking about what to say for my report, because a lot of the last month's activities have been around preparing for the retreat, and I hope you'll find these several hours will be productive and informative. So a lot of thought has gone into it by staff. I thought I would direct my remarks towards federal home loan bank system, because I've been on the advisory council for a couple of years. So for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it was set up about 100 years ago by Congress through the Federal Home Loan Bank Act. It's really meant to stabilize the banking system, the mortgage markets, after the 1920s financial crisis. And it's worked for the most part. Well, recently it's come into focus with the collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank and the other bank that collapsed. And a lot of attention is being paid to the advanced system and how that works, especially the Federal Home Loan Bank system. But I want to direct my remarks towards being on the advisory council. So the advisory council is actually who nominated me to the advisory council. Patty's on the advisory council. And it's interesting because it gives you kind of a view into the bank's activities and the regional banks. And so their activities are kind of in the 6 states, 6 states. And, so our role as the advisory council is to advise them about their programs, specific considerations for Connecticut, what would be different about our state versus other states, and generally help them refine the programmatic approaches. So it's been interesting. I'm at the chair now, and they have their major sort of banner program is the Affordable Housing Program, or AHP. It's used, it's used primarily in these very large-scale low-income tax credit developments as source of gaps. The key is it has to be sponsored. The AHP award has to be sponsored by a member bank, and they're wholly owned by member banks in some states. What's interesting is it's kind of like finding out information that I wouldn't normally have access to. Like, for example, it's interesting to find out that we've done such CHFA. Such a great job of providing the permanent 9% loans to deal with the 9% round that combined with our opportunity fund is more competitive product than the member banks can provide using HFP. So on one hand, I'm really happy that CHFA is rising and, doing things that are needed for the market. On the other hand, I also want Connecticut to get its fair share of HFP. So how do you kind of reconcile those 2 points of tension? Just provide that as an example of something that, calls for perhaps more conversation, better coordination, understanding of what the needs are and how to meet those needs in Connecticut without sacrificing. In addition to that, as housing finance agencies, we are not full members or associate members, and different banks around the country, federal banks, have been more or less able to integrate their activities with housing finance agencies in those states. The Boston Bank had a program that was specifically targeted towards state housing finance agencies, which was called Helping to Housing Unit. And it was meant to be flexible funding, and we used it for multifamily taxable loan program. But then when advances went down during COVID, because banks were flush with cash, they abruptly kind of ended the program. So that was a little bit disconcerting and disappointing. So we've been having conversations with them, with the 6 states kind of coordinating and saying, well, how can we be more part of what we're doing, aligning our activities better, understanding that you're a member-owned corporation, but also realizing that we bring the same mission. We have very close alignment mission. So I'm hoping my voice will make a difference. They recently rolled out a special purpose credit program that's meant for BIPOC home buyers in the 6 states. It's a very small allocation, it's $2.5 million across 6 states, so it's going to be gone in like 15 seconds, but it's a start, and it's the first federal home loan bank to actually target a down payment assistance program for BIPOC borrowers. So, they're hoping to involve us more heavily in the future. They're looking for ideas about how to do that without getting in the way of their membership, that they rely on those loans, and so there's a lot there that has to be sort of dealt with and talked about. But I'm really happy to be part of the advisory council. I want to thank you for the nomination. I think it's a very useful approach from which to make advocating policy. Any questions?
One statement. I don't know the details, but the Fed in San Francisco has done some stuff. And in Connecticut.
That HRB in San Francisco has done stuff in New England?
Federal Reserve Bank in San Francisco.
Oh,
has
Federal
done
Reserve
stuff
Bank, okay.
in New England, in particular Connecticut. And they have an advisory board in San Francisco.
Right.
Which has done a lot of stuff. Maybe we could get more committee to reach out to them. And at one point, the president of that Fed, can be also, he was used to be in Connecticut, so.
Okay.
But I don't know all the details of some stuff. Sorry.
Any other comment?
It's interesting. So a couple times a year, we get together with all the home loan banks for dinner, all their officers, and it's always been a big part. Used to be presidential appointments to their boards for the different home builder entities around the country. So we follow it pretty closely. So we'll compare notes, because I think a lot of the programs are tremendous, and they are trying to do a lot more in New England that they are doing in other parts. San Francisco's very active, but Chicago and others.
Very active.
Yeah, and so, but that's good though that we're getting more involved too.
Yeah, and they're interested in sort of venturing out into spaces where they haven't, so like naturally occurring affordable housing, they're really interested in that, how to study it, how to fund it. You know, they have CDFIs who could be members, but they're not
learn from other people's mistakes and other people's triumphs, right?
Absolutely.
If it worked, it might be pretty well. If it didn't work, let's learn from why it didn't work, right? So we do
Right,
this.
right.
And that was my point about finding out.
Sure.
Chicago is very active in Connecticut, as used to me, but, you know,
Yeah.
not that many people know everything, it has to do with the bank. And not saying across any one of my examinations or discussions, but San Francisco continues to follow, for whatever reason. I used to say it was because the sun was going to yell, excuse me, but they continue.
Right. And you can use their programs with our programs, like Equity Builder, which is a homeownership down payment assistance program for below 80 AMI borrowers. And they, some of the concerns or some of the issues, and it's really flexible. The application is great. I'm trying to kind of do some of that work because they're very flexible to the point. And if that little bit of money or big money that comes in for the developer side for the nonprofits, really helps a lot. So I know that since we are trying to align resources with CHFA and the department, that it would be a great place for them to be part of that because I finished my term, so we need to have some representation of the community that we learn that for too, right, as a developer, so that they can really combine the states and the developers just to get a better product. So glad congratulations, she's the chair of that council. That's awesome. Showing the leadership in Connecticut. Any other comments? All right, so Finance Committee actually Pezzi was on vacation for like
Yeah.
a month. We're glad you're back. But Pat has been working really hard, so we're in the mortgage committee. So Pat, you have two items.
Can you project your voice?
It is really hard to hear with the.
Yes.
I missed most of that sitting over there.
I haven't done like this formal presentation to the board in about 8 years. So, we had two presentations for resolution approved on Tuesday. The first one is Crescent Crossing down in Bridgeport. This was a company-only first mortgage of $6.8 million. It's a 4-year term at interest rate of up to 6%. We also requested $1 million in opportunity funds for construction of curb loan. It's at 1%. The first 24 months will be interest only, and the remaining term will last at a firm on 40 years. So this is part of the Father Family Village restoration. This is the third and final phase of the 262-unit development. This particular phase represents 85 units. Proposed 17 units that are at or below 30% AMI, 34% which will be below 60% AMI, and 23 of the units will be market. The lowest income band is going to serve formerly homeless persons with disability and support housing support and community teams. So the board, the committee, the mortgage committee on Tuesday unanimously approved this.
Can I have a motion to approve the resolution presented by Pat?
So moved.
Have a second. I'll second it. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
I'm just curious, is this, the first payment is 20% AMI or the first 30? So what is that on a monthly basis like in Hartford County? Isn't that like nothing?
$300.
How much is it really?
About $300.
For a two-bedroom.
I think
it's
AMI
like
ranges
40.
are now up in Connecticut, so it's about $110,000.
But that,
I'm saying is the median income, so you'll take 30% of that or $33,000.
okay, so they pay a portion of that.
They-
Okay.
About $400.
Got it, okay, I'm just curious.
And that's in Bridgeport.
This is a Bridgeport.
Got it,
Yeah,
okay,
but
Like
AMI is
area
across the state.
Yeah.
got it, okay.
And Pat, again, just as a question, for the supportive housing component, the services provided to the supportive housing units, where is that cost related to the services?
The developer usually partner with a service provider.
Right, but-
So if they apply for a service provider, they get the resources from DMS or
Somebody else.
Yeah.
In this particular instance, the developer is funding it themselves as part of their development budget. So we've seen, the way it should work is it should be provided for by the state of Connecticut, but those
Right.
funds haven't been available. So
Right.
what we're seeing is a lot of the developers now are putting reserves in to cover those supportive services.
Until those costs come
as
in.
part of their development budget.
With the expectation though that once they'll get reimbursed.
Right,
And that's how this is gonna work here.
right, yes. It's part of their development budget.
Any other question?
Yeah, but it's not like, they're not expected to be first, which is the point. It's not like that nice group of sound that decided to be social workers.
Right, yeah, it's,
I'm gonna let you get away with that. No, the intention is to get it first.
right.
Yeah.
Any other question? Okay, so, Don, you want to roll call?
Yes. Jerry Evans.
Aye.
Cindy Bucks.
Aye.
Commissioner Gahn. Wendy Clark. Phil DeFranco.
Yes.
Heidi DeMichael. Aye. Claudio Gualtieri. Timothy Hodges. Can't hear me right now. Catherine McKinnon.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarabino.
Yes.
Commissioner Perez.
Yes.
Franklin Perry. Chelsea Ross. Sarah Sanders.
Aye.
Lisa Tucker Bates. Greg Revelle.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Pat,
Next one is Oxo Lofts in Montville. This was presented by Glenn Silver. This is approved the return of the 2019 9% housing tax credits. We did $1.425 million in exchange for 2023 9% of the same amount. There were a lot of delays in the construction of this. This is an old mill building that traverses the Oxo Brook up in Montville. It's a former manufacturing site. We did a return exchange back in 2019, and then there were two COVID-related extensions that were done since then. And most recently, the project has faced a bunch of environmental problems because we were all their approvals in place. This was in a floodplain. They had to take out a dam up above the Oxo River, Oxo Brook, so we reduced the impact of the floodplain. And we've just been holding off on doing this return exchange until they got all of their environmental approvals in place, which they now do. Our expectation is with this return exchange, we will be conducting a closure within the next 6 days. Anybody have any questions? This was
let me go through the, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Yeah, second.
You said I'm having a problem getting some of the approval and talk about the thing.
environmental approvals.
But didn't even know they had environmental issues from the beginning.
They did, but they didn't expect the approval processes to take as long as they did. They also brought in some other.
And they're experienced developers, because if they are,
They
they're always
are, they're
capable.
very experienced developers. but
And
there
didn't
were-
think it was gonna take longer than.
No, there were other things. They brought in some HUD vouchers that had different requirements, and so they had to provide for those requirements. There's remediation plans that they had in place that they constantly were updating and changing. They just got the final approvals on that. They had to do a public comment period. So it's just taken a lot longer than they had anticipated, but we're now at a place where everything's been done, all the approvals have been garnered, and they're ready to move forward.
Any cost overruns because of the delay? Any cost overruns?
No,
And Pat, you explained that some of those permits were quite unique because of the sophistication of the project and where it is, and that's what really the extensions were needed to address that specifically as well. That was quite a bit of the extension.
right, one of the biggest.
Thank you for the clarification.
One of the biggest issues was this small dam that was up on the Oxo pond that had to be removed. And it was the only way that they could mitigate the floodplain issues that they were facing.
So unfortunately, it wasn't the normal lightning speed that we face with approvals. This one got slowed down.
You've been petitions, obviously, right? Normally it was not the snail speed, the double snail.
And just to be clear, it doesn't affect our current
No.
round of credits or anything like that. It's kind of a magic trick, if you will.
Their
It's a
original,
labeling change.
their original place in service date was November of this year, which they would not be on. So this return exchange is necessary to complete the project.
So
Again, I want to mention it's in Montville and,
2 more years, so to completion now?
yes.
Any other comment? Right, Don? Roll call.
Jerry Abrahams,
Aye.
Cindy Bucks,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawn, Wendy Clark, Phil DeFranco,
Aye.
Eddie Dwyer, Claudia Gualtieri, Timothy Hodges, Catherine McKinnon,
Aye.
Commissioner Scarabino,
Yes.
Commissioner Perez,
Yes.
Franklin Berry. Thank you. Chelsea Ross, Sarah Sanders,
Aye.
Lisa Tucker Bates, Greg Gallman.
Yes.
The vote.
Motion carries, thank you very much. That's the business part. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Second? Second. All those in favor, raise your hand. You see them on the
You want the right hand or the left hand?
Opposed? Motion carries. So that's the end of the board meeting. So we'll adjourn the meeting.